Breaking, Lubinda under siege as PF convention explodes into chaos. The Patriotic Front is once again at a crossroads. A party born in protest, forged in unity, is now locked in a bitter internal standoff. At the center of it all is one man, Given Lubinda. With the PF convention delayed, contested, and openly challenged from within, a dangerous question is now being asked quietly and loudly. Is Lubinda still in control of the party, or is the party slipping out of his hands? Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. Well, what a week it's been across the African political landscape. We've been tracking several developing stories, but nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared us for what erupted over the past 48 hours in Zambian politics. Today, we bring you a story of power, betrayal, and a political party tearing itself apart from within. Picture this: a convention hall. Hundreds of delegates gathered. Banners proclaiming unity. And then, chaos. Absolute, uncontrolled chaos. The kind of disorder that doesn't just threaten a political gathering, but exposes the very fractures threatening to shatter one of Zambia's most storied political institutions. Given Lubinda, former justice minister, respected legal mind, seasoned politician, now finds himself at the center of a political firestorm that has set the Patriotic Front ablaze. But what exactly happened inside that convention hall? What accusations have been hurled? What alliances have crumbled? And more importantly, who orchestrated what is now being called a calculated assault on Lubinda's leadership? Was this a spontaneous uprising of frustrated party members? Or was it a meticulously planned ambush, designed to eliminate a political rival before he could consolidate power? And if it was planned, who stands to benefit most from Lubinda's public humiliation? The questions are explosive. The implications? Even more devastating. Because what we witnessed wasn't just a rowdy party meeting gone wrong. This was a full-scale political execution attempt carried out in broad daylight, with cameras rolling and the nation watching. So what does this mean for the Patriotic Front? What does it mean for Zambian opposition politics? And perhaps most critically, can Given Lubinda survive this siege, or is this the beginning of the end for his political ambitions? Factual foundation. The revelation came to light on December 26, 2025, during what was supposed to be a routine provincial convention for the Patriotic Front in Lusaka. The Patriotic Front, Zambia's main opposition party, had scheduled this gathering as part of their ongoing internal restructuring efforts following their 2021 electoral defeat. Given Lubinda, who has served as the party's acting president since former President Edgar Lungu's exit from active politics, was expected to address delegates and consolidate his position within the party hierarchy. The convention was scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. at the Garden Hotel Conference Center in the capital. Approximately 300 delegates from across Lusaka province had registered to attend. On the surface, everything appeared procedurally standard. Credential verification, registration, the usual political pageantry. But according to multiple sources who were inside the venue, tensions had been simmering for weeks. A faction within the party, reportedly led by mobilization committee members and several former members of parliament, had been circulating grievances about Lubinda's leadership style, his perceived closeness to certain business interests, and what they termed his authoritarian approach to party decision-making. The first signs of trouble emerged around 11:30 a.m., just as Lubinda was preparing to take the podium. A group of approximately 50 delegates began chanting slogans demanding transparency and democratic process. What started as rhythmic chanting quickly escalated. By noon, the situation had completely deteriorated. Chairs were overturned. Delegates were shouting accusations. Lubinda's security detail moved to shield him as bottles and papers were thrown toward the stage. Convention organizers attempted to restore order, but the chaos had taken on a life of its own. Within 45 minutes, the convention was officially suspended. Lubinda was escorted out through a side entrance. Videos circulating on social media showed a visibly shaken politician surrounded by bodyguards, while behind him, the convention hall descended into absolute pandemonium. Direct evidence. In the immediate aftermath, several key figures went on record with their versions of events. Bowman Lusambo, former minister of Lusaka province and a prominent voice within the anti-Lubinda faction, addressed journalists outside the venue. What you saw today is not chaos. What you saw today is democracy trying to breathe within a party that has been suffocated by one man's ambition. Given Lubinda has systematically sidelined anyone who questions his decisions. He has surrounded himself with yes-men and business cronies who have no interest in the welfare of this party or its members. Today, the delegates said enough is enough. When pressed on whether the disruption was coordinated, Lusambo responded. Coordinated? This was organic frustration. You know, when you have hundreds of party members who feel unheard, who feel marginalized, who watch as decisions are made in private meetings they're not invited to. What do you expect? People are tired. The grassroots are tired. From Lubinda's camp, the response was immediate and forceful. Raphael Nakasinda, the party's Secretary General and Lubinda ally, released a statement to the media that same afternoon. What we witnessed today was not democratic expression. It was orchestrated violence. It was a planned disruption designed to embarrass our acting president and create an impression of divided leadership. We have evidence. Video evidence, WhatsApp communications showing that this so-called spontaneous uprising was planned days in advance by individuals who are working with external forces to destabilize the Patriotic Front. When questioned about these external forces, Nakasinda elaborated. We believe there are elements within the ruling UPND who are funding and encouraging division within our party. They know that a united PF is a threat to their 2026 re-election prospects. So they are using willing accomplices within our ranks, people who are motivated by personal ambition rather than party principles, to create this chaos. Perhaps most dramatically, Given Lubinda himself broke his silence late in the evening via a live Facebook broadcast from an undisclosed location. Looking directly into the camera, Lubinda stated, "My fellow party members, what happened today should concern every single person who believes in democratic institutions. I went to that convention in good faith. I went prepared to listen, to engage, to address concerns. Instead, I was met with violence. I was met with orchestrated chaos designed not to reform the party, but to destroy it. And let me be very clear, this is not about me. This is about the future of the Patriotic Front. There are forces, both internal and external, who want to see this party implode. They want us weak, divided, and ineffective. I will not give them that satisfaction. We will not give them that satisfaction." When asked about his next steps, Lubinda's voice grew firmer. "I remain the acting president of this party. I was elected to this position through legitimate party structures. No mob, no matter how loud, no matter how violent, will change that. We will investigate what happened. Those responsible will face party discipline. And we will move forward stronger and more united than before." Deeper analysis. The implications of December 26 extend far beyond a disrupted party meeting. Political analyst Dr. Sishiwa, speaking on a local radio program the following morning, provided crucial context. What we're seeing in the PF is what happens when a party loses power without properly processing that loss. The Patriotic Front went from being the governing party with all the resources and patronage that entails, to being in opposition almost overnight. That transition has never been psychologically or structurally completed. Different factions now see the party's future very differently. Some want to rebuild as a genuine opposition force. Others see the party machinery as a vehicle for personal political ambitions. And still others are simply trying to position themselves for whatever comes next, whether that's defection to UPND or forming splinter parties. From the ruling UPND's perspective, government spokesperson Cornelius Mwitwa was careful to distance the administration from the PF's internal turmoil. The government has no interest in the internal affairs of opposition parties. The PF's problems are of their own making. What we would urge is that all political actors conduct themselves peacefully and within the law. Zambia's democracy is strengthened when we have strong, functional political parties, even opposition parties. However, opposition to Lubinda within the PF appears to go beyond mere factional politics. Multiple sources speaking on condition of anonymity have pointed to deeper grievances, allegations of financial mismanagement within party coffers, questions about the selection process for candidates in upcoming local elections, and resentment over what some perceive as Lubinda's failure to effectively challenge the UPND government on key policy issues. One former PF member of parliament, who requested anonymity due to fear of reprisals, told InspirAfrica. The problem with Lubinda is that he thinks he can lead the same way Edgar Lungu led. But Lungu had presidential power behind him. Lubinda doesn't. He needs to build consensus, not demand loyalty. The party is broke. The party is demoralized. And instead of addressing these fundamental issues, he's focused on consolidating his own position. That's why you saw what you saw on Thursday. People are frustrated, and they've run out of patience. Legal questions have also emerged. Can a party convention be legally suspended due to disruption? Who has the authority to determine whether Lubinda remains acting president? And if the party's constitution is ambiguous on these points, as several legal experts have suggested, what mechanisms exist to resolve the dispute? Constitutional lawyer John Sangwa offered this analysis. Most political party constitutions in Zambia are poorly drafted and riddled with ambiguities. When internal disputes arise, there's often no clear mechanism for resolution. The PF constitution gives significant power to the Central Committee, but if the Central Committee itself is divided, as it appears to be, then you have a constitutional crisis within the party. Technically, either faction could claim legitimacy depending on which constitutional provisions they prioritize. And so, viewers, we find ourselves watching a political drama that is far from over. Given Lubinda remains defiant, insisting he will not be pushed aside by what he calls a violent mob. His opponents, meanwhile, are emboldened, sensing an opportunity to reshape the party's leadership before the crucial 2026 election cycle begins in earnest. The next few weeks will be absolutely critical. Will the Patriotic Front's Central Committee convene to address the crisis? Will there be disciplinary action against those who disrupted the convention? Or will we see the party fracture into competing factions, each claiming to be the legitimate voice of the PF? These are the questions that will define Zambian opposition politics in the coming months. Thank you so much for watching this edition of InspirAfrica Official. This is a story we'll be following very closely, and we want to hear from you. What do you think? Is Given Lubinda the right person to lead the PF forward? Or is it time for new leadership? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a respectful but honest conversation about where Zambian politics is headed. We'll be back tomorrow with more news, more analysis, and more stories that matter to our continent. Until then, I'm Nakash, reminding you to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay inspired. Take care.